What's up guys, today on Dirt Lifestyle we're going to build a minimalist steel Jeep front bumper. My brother's front bumper is fine, but it is huge. It's a little bit outdated looking, and for his birthday this year I wanted to build him something that I thought looked a little bit better. Something that's really functional, something that's a little bit more lightweight, and something that definitely looks a little more off-road. If you've watched any videos where I build bumpers, you know that I like something that is a tighter design, something that's really close to the body, and this bumper is completely the opposite of that. A front bumper like this doesn't look that bad from certain angles. From the front it's not that bad, and you can tell that if this was going to hit a deer or something like that, it would be awesome because it's going to direct the deer underneath the Jeep. But for us, we don't worry about hitting deer. It's not a problem in our area, and we don't drive our Jeeps on the street much. So I want to make something that looks a little bit better and looks a little bit more like a rock crawler. I only had to pick up 3 pieces of material for this project. We've got some 1 3/4 tube, we have some 3/16 flat bar, and some 3/16 plate. When I build bumpers, I start with the winch plate. The winch plate needs to be anchored into the frame, needs to be super solid. So it's a good starting point because, you know, if you build your winch plate and then you connect anything into the winch plate, it's gonna be a solid foundation to tie into. Since we already have my brother's existing winch plate, I'm actually going to just trace this one out. I don't want to reuse this because I like bumpers that are winch plate and bumper all welded into one unit. This is a little more modular, and this is still in great shape, so he could sell it and maybe get a little bit of money back for it. We have got the basic framework for a winch plate. Very simple, we just have a plate that fits on the bottom. I called my brother because I wanted to eliminate his sway bar, and he gave me the go-ahead. So no sway bar, which means we get to move the winch back a little bit farther, which is something that I was pretty excited about, and we get to incorporate 1 extra hole on each side. Our next step is going to be putting some sort of a piece of material that's going to be welded at a 90 degree and is going to be on edge to follow all the way across the back of our winch plate. Now, the way it is right now, it's strong. You know, 3/16 is pretty strong material, but whenever the winch is pulling forward, it's going to pull up on the back, and if we weld a piece of 3/16, you know, maybe 3/16 by 1 or whatever on the back here, as the back of the winch pulls up, that extra piece of material is going to give us a ton of extra leverage to keep the back of this from pulling up and warping the plate in the future. Now you can see what I'm talking about with this little rim on the back side of this winch plate. It's a very easy way to add strength, and I mean, it took me an extra 10 minutes to put it on there. The next step is going to be drilling the holes for the plate itself. I think I'm just going to drop that plate down on top of this plate and then line it up where I want it, and then I can trace and drill the holes. Pretty easy. We've barely done anything, and already this Jeep looks way better in my opinion. Now, we have a lot more that's gonna go on this, but my eye is already telling me I'm liking what I'm seeing, and now we need to figure out how to jam a bunch more stuff in a small space. My brother wants to keep his lights. He's got these really nice Vision X lights that he wants to keep. There's 4 of them. I'm not a huge light guy, so I'm not used to having to stuff lights into anywhere, and I don't want lights just hanging, you know, super far apart. So in my mind, I'm seeing them all clustered together, all 4 lights. He's got 2 spots and 2 floods. So we'll see if I can incorporate that into our fair lead mount. I'm not exactly sure how this is gonna work, so I'm just gonna start putting steel up there and seeing what my mind tells me looks good and looks bad. All right, so I think I have a plan. Now, there are some things that I'm gonna do that I haven't seen done before, so it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. All right, we have got a fair lead plate on our winch bumper. Now, earlier whenever I was talking about how I have not seen this done, I was referring to the fact that I'm gonna mount it to the winch plate and mount it to the fair lead mount. So there's 4 bolts holding it in instead of 2. I don't know if that's common. I have never seen it before. Maybe there are people who do it this way, but it's not something that I'm familiar with. But I figured it'd be a really nice solid way to mount this fair lead and pull the fair lead back from the edge of the bumper. I also decided to re-drill my holes and slide the winch back a little bit and take advantage of the fact that I made this, this winch plate a little bit deeper than the one that we pulled off. The next step is gonna be welding this fair lead mount to the plate, and then I've gotta figure out these lights. There it is. I gotta be honest, I'm not a fan of all those lights. I think this would look a lot better with 2. Just to experiment, I'm gonna take those bottom 2 off and just see what it looks like. That instantly looks better. Sorry, Matt, you're losing 2 of your lights. I think I can relocate them for him. Maybe I'll make him some little adapters or something to mount right here, or I don't know. There's gotta be another place I can mount those. Now, we're still gonna put a hoop. There's still gonna be some other odds and ends. This is a winch plate so far. I wanna make that really clear. So now it's on to the next thing, which would be actually building the bumper. This ugly piece of steel is gonna be the mounts for our carabiners or D-rings, whatever you wanna call them. I think what I'm gonna do is fill in those holes that I had for these lights with the link for the carabiner. So I'll basically tack this where I want it, once I cut it and trim it, of course, and then I'll just fill in this upper hole. Might be a 2 birds with 1 stone type of scenario. For those of you who are hoping I'm going to show you some secret trick to go from a round surface to a flat surface, I don't have one. I eyeball it. That's my secret trick, is a trained eye. Now, I'm sure there's some math and stuff that you could do in a situation like this where you could use an angle finder and whatnot to calculate exactly how much you could measure up and cut off, but that takes a lot of time. I'm always super strapped for time on projects like this, and so I do what's quick. And what's quick for me is to get my first cut really close with my eye, and then get the second and third one really close with the grinder. We are done with the hoop for now. I like it, nothing crazy. But this bumper needs a lot more in order to make me happy. So I need to add a mount down here. There's a bolt hole, and then I'll add a mount down here on this side of the frame rail. And then I want to make some sort of like a lower valance that I'll probably make thicker in the middle and then taper onto the outsides. I think that it will please my eye. I don't like the look of this being 4-inch tall all the way throughout. I need it to be a little bit taller in the middle, in order to match the shape of the bumper that I see in my mind. So I think we're going to experiment with that. If I don't like it, I can always just break the tacks and abandon that idea. But right now, I'm thinking a lower valance would really add to the look of this. All right, this bumper is as far as we can get it on the Jeep, so it's time to pull it off and go do a little bit of finish welding, add some gussets, and button this up. It is getting super cold in the shop, so I need to hurry up and go inside. Let's take a look at the finished product. There it is. Much more streamlined than it used to be, I would say. I did break out the studio lights so you guys could clearly see what we're working with here. I like it. Very simple. A lot of people ask me what I paint with. This is just a cheap rattle can bed liner product from Rust-Oleum. Tons of people use it. I use it. It's not nearly as durable as real bed liner, but it works really good for this kind of thing because, you know, if Matt scuffs it up or it starts to flake off or whatever, you can just sand it down and put a new layer on it. Or if we want to make any modifications to it, to scrape off real bed liner is kind of a nightmare. So you can, you know, weld an extra tab or a gusset or something like that. So I like this product for its simplicity and ease of use. I think the lower valance really helped add to the look of this bumper and give it a little extra dimension and a little bit more shape. I know at the beginning of this project I had said I want to do a minimalist bumper, and I guess that's up for interpretation. I would say this is still minimalist. It's very narrow, it's very close to the body like I like it, and there's one piece of tube here, you know? You saw the ingredients from the beginning of the video. It was just one piece of tube and a few pieces of steel, and I just kind of, you know, I went a little nuts with the dimple dies, I guess. But I would still say this is overall a minimalist bumper. It's actually pretty lightweight considering that it's made out of steel, and it was not hard for me to pull it on and off of the Jeep even with the winch on it. The winch has been hooked back up and is fully functional, but I have not rewired these lights yet. That is something that will not happen in this video. I ran out of time, so I need to go to the editing bay and get this video cranked out for you guys. So it's something that you can watch instead of just me talking to myself in my garage. If you want to show some support to our channel, make sure you check out our Patreon page or go to our website and take a look at some of our t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, things like that. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at Dirt Lifestyle Nate. We'll see you next time.